Okay, so today we're diving into something pretty radical. It's a blueprint for a whole new economy. And I'm not just talking about another app here. Imagine a system that could launch more businesses than we've ever seen in history. It's pitched as a brand new operating system, but for human ambition itself.
So let me just start with this question, right? What if starting a business was as easy as just having a thought? I mean, think about all the usual hurdles. The endless scramble for funding, trying to find the right people, the desperate search for your first customers. What if all of that just disappeared? Gone. Imagine launching a whole company with the same ease as posting a thought online. Seriously.
So here's the old way versus the new way. On the left, you've got the traditional grind, right? It's this long, painful process. You have an idea, then you have to beg for funding. Then you try to build a team. And only after all that, you cross your fingers and hope you can find customers. The Intent OS model on the right, it flicks that completely on its head. It all starts with your intent, and then the system does the magic. It automatically pulls together the team, the resources, and even the customers for you.
And that brings us to the absolute core of this idea. We're not just talking about a new tool or a new app. This is being presented as a new foundational layer for the entire economy. I mean, a whole new operating system that completely changes how businesses even come into existence.
Okay, so what is an intent? It's a key term here. Think of it this way. It's not just some vague wish like I'd like a new car someday, and it's definitely not a passive ad you scroll past. No, an intent is a direct, clear, powerful declaration. It's saying exactly what you want to build or buy or solve. And in this whole model, that signal, that declaration, is the most valuable economic piece of information you can have. Why? Because it just cuts through all the noise, all the guesswork that plagues our current economy.
And these intents, they can come from absolutely anywhere. It could be you with an idea for a sustainable clothing brand, or it could be a company saying, hey, we need software developers. It could be an investor who wants to put money into AI startups, or even a whole neighborhood that says, you know what, we really need local food delivery. Each one of these declarations is like a single puzzle piece, just waiting for the system to find its match. All right, so this all sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? How do you go from a simple thought, an intent, to a real functioning company? Let's walk through a super clear example. Okay, imagine this. You hop on the system, and you just type this out. Super simple, right? I want to start a coffee truck in Austin. It's clear, it's specific. You're not writing up a 50-page business plan. You're not going from bank to bank looking for loans. You are simply declaring your intent.
And boom. The second you do that, the system kicks into gear, instantly. It scans for every other intent that matches yours and finds everything you could possibly need. It finds customers who've already said they want a coffee truck nearby. It pings local investors who are looking for exactly this kind of thing. It finds available baristas in the area, and it even sources a truck supplier. Your entire business is basically pre-assembled in seconds, and all that's left for you is one simple question. Launch?
So the magic behind all this, the tech that makes it possible, is called the intent graph. And it's important to know this isn't just some boring static database. You have to think of it more like a living, breathing, global map of human ambition. Every single time someone declares an intent, it becomes a new dot on this map. And the system's only job, 24/7, is to draw the most valuable lines, the most powerful connections between all those dots.
Now, obviously, a vision this huge doesn't just happen overnight. You can't just flip a switch. It needs a real, practical plan. So the question is, how do you get there? Well, the strategy is pretty clever. You start small with a simple app and then scale it up into a planet-wide ecosystem.
And honestly, the strategy is kind of brilliant. Phase 1 is what they call the Trojan horse. It's a super simple, incredibly useful app that just helps you find whatever you want. A job, a partner for a project, anything. But once that gets to 1 million users, then 50 million, that's when it unlocks the next phase, the micro-business explosion. Suddenly, anyone can launch these instant businesses. Then, as it grows to 500 million users, you get the global intent graph, where the system can see and even predict demand across the entire planet. And finally, at 1 billion users, you get autonomous economic formation. That's when whole industries start forming automatically. So this growth plan isn't just about adding one user after another. The whole point is to create this incredibly powerful flywheel effect. One of those self-reinforcing loops where every new person who joins just makes the whole system spin faster and faster. It works like this. First, you get more users. Simple enough, right? People join the platform. And more users means, you guessed it, more intents get declared. The intent graph becomes richer, smarter, and way more powerful.
With a smarter graph that sees all this demand, what happens next? More businesses get created. The system can make better and better matches, launching everything from that local coffee truck to a huge tech company.
And finally, that creates more real economic opportunity for everyone. People see the success, they see it working, and that in turn attracts even more users to join, and the whole flywheel spins again, but this time even faster.
Okay, so what's the end game here? What's the true scale of this vision? If this flywheel really starts spinning on a global level, what does that even look like? Well, the numbers they're talking about are, honestly, they're staggering.
1 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. And notice, that's not 1 billion jobs. It's 1 billion new businesses. The whole point here isn't to create more employees. It's to create more owners, more founders, more creators. That's a fundamental shift in who actually gets to build things and profit from them.
And the potential economic activity this could unlock? $100 trillion. Now, to give you some perspective on that number, the entire global GDP today is right around that same figure. So we're not talking about just taking a bigger slice of the existing pie. This is about unlocking so much human potential that we basically create a whole second pie.
There's an analogy for this system that I think is just perfect. Think about TCP/IP. It's the boring protocol that tells data how to move around, but without it, there's no internet. It's the fundamental set of rules. Well, the idea is that Intent OS could be the TCP/IP of opportunity. It could become the base-level protocol, the rails that the entire next economy is built on.
And if that happens, it leads to maybe the most profound shift of all, a change in how we all think about the economy. For generations, right, the default question has always been a reactive one, a question that comes from a place of scarcity. We ask, where are the jobs?
But a system like this flips that script. It changes the question from one of scarcity to one of pure creation. The new question becomes simply, what do we want to build? It's about putting the power to create the future directly in our hands.
And that's what's so cool. It brings this massive, global, trillion-dollar vision right back down to one person, to anyone on Earth who has an idea or a skill or just a dream. It gives them a place to stand up and declare that ambition to the whole world.
And in this new economic OS, the response you get isn't silence. It isn't a wall of friction. The system just replies, let's build it. It's an incredible thought. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative question. If this existed today, what would you build first?